Well, dear friends, in the earlier module, we have covered the theoretical aspect, the use of Smith chart for network impedance and so many things. We know that the main aim of the transmission line is to transmit the signal from source to the load without any reflection. For 100% transmission, we know that the load must match with the characteristic impedance of the transmission line. Every time it may not be the case. We have seen that the networks comprising of capacitors and inductors can be used to design the transfer of impedance from load to the terminal ends. However, every time it may not be the case. ZL depends upon the device which is being used. Hence, if the system or the device is changed, ZL will change. In addition, if the frequency of the signal is changed, then also ZL may change, and hence matching may not be perfect. Please note that matching of impedances for no reflection and full transmission and for maximum power transfer theorem, they are different. So, do not mix up the two conditions. Yes, if Z0 is real, then the two conditions may match with each other, but every time it is not the case. So, in this module we will see how to use different reactive networks comprising of capacitors, inductors, and a new technique of using a piece of transmission line of wavelength lambda by 4 so as to match the given load with the characteristic impedance. Generally, the generator is matched with the transmission line at its input terminals. However, at the load side, at the receiving end side, it may not be the case. So, in that case, what to do? So, it is very interesting to see these two aspects in connection with matching networks applied to transmission lines. So, let us discuss about it. After completing this module, you will be able to know about the concept of matching networks, the term insertion loss, and the use of Smith chart in designing of quarter wave impedance transformer, and applications, advantages and limitations of quarter wave transformer. One of the important quantities of prominent importance is the input impedance of a transmission line, generally denoted by Zin. Let us revise our knowledge about the terms input and output impedance of an electrical circuit in brief. Consider the circuit as shown with generator connected across its input terminals P and Q and the load impedance at the output terminals A and B as shown. The impedance between the input terminals P and Q with load impedance ZL connected but generator removed is called as the input impedance of the circuit and is given by the expression as shown. The impedance across the output terminals A and B with generator having impedance Zg present but load impedance ZL removed is called as the output impedance of the circuit and is given by the expression as shown. Knowing the values of Z1, Z2, Z3 and ZL or Zg, we can calculate Zin and Zout using the rules of complex algebra. The choices of either Z1, Z2 or Z3 equal to 0, we can get different types of filter networks. For example, with Z2 equal to 0, we obtain L type filter. Such filters and combinations thereof play an important role in what is known as matching networks. Let us try to understand the term impedance matching network with the help of few simple examples. Now, consider a simple resistive network as shown. Here, we want to match the 10 ohm resistance RL to the 6 ohm resistance RS. This means, with RL removed, the impedance, that is resistance in this case, across the terminals A and B must be equal to 6 ohm. For this, we cannot place a simple short circuit between terminals P and A and between terminals Q and B. We can easily understand that it will not serve the purpose of matching. One of the acceptable solution is to join terminals P and Q to terminal A and B respectively and connect a resistance R of 15 ohm between terminals A and B. With this, we have the circuit as shown. With this, we have the circuit as shown. It can be easily verified that with RS removed, the resistance between terminals A and B will be 6 ohm. Hence, we can say that R equal to 15 ohm in parallel with RL serves the purpose of the desired matching. Hence, it is a matching network. What will be the matching network in this problem if the source resistance RS of 6 ohm is to be matched with the load impedance RL of 10 ohm? The answer is simple. The matching network is a simple resistance of 4 ohm connected between terminals P and A with a short circuit placed between terminals Q and B as shown. Is it so easy for any given load? Definitely not. Can a resistor in parallel with 6 ohm will do the needful for matching the source resistance of 6 ohm to the load impedance? Certainly not, because it leads to a negative value of minus 15 ohm of R, which is not a practically acceptable solution. Now consider another circuit as shown involving AC source, which is little bit complicated as compared to the earlier resistive circuit. In this circuit, it is expected to match the load impedance ZL equal to 20 plus 10 J ohm to the source impedance of 50 ohm at signal frequency of 400 megahertz. In this case, what will be the network which can give the desired impedance? The calculations are not as easy as in the earlier problem with resistive network. The matching networks of different types can be found as a solution. One of the solutions is as shown. We can verify numerically that with source removed, the impedance of ZPQ across the terminals P and Q has the desired value of 50 ohm. The calculations are as shown. We know that in this case also we have the value ZPQ is equal to 50 ohm as desired. Thus, we have two solutions for the matching network for the given circuit. We are familiar with the terms star and delta networks, also known as T and pi networks. Let us see the use of these networks as matching networks between source and load. It be noted that the two physical quantities, namely source impedance and frequency of the signal, are of direct concern in designing of matching networks. Hence, many a times source symbol is not shown in the circuit diagram. See the circuit as an example of pi type of matching network. As an example of T type of matching network, see the circuit as shown. In the earlier module, we have discussed about the computation of network impedance. It will be a good numerical computational exercise to verify the matching of the input and output impedances of these two circuits to the source and load impedance respectively. Thus, for a given load impedance ZL, we can obtain matching networks comprising of reactive components like capacitors and inductors. Note that inclusion of resistor is not recommended due to their power dissipative nature. The designing of matching networks comprising of capacitors and inductors can be tedious and may not give the desired level of accuracy due to non-availability of components with exact values. Use of many online sources available on the internet can be made effectively to design the desired type of matching network. We can study the effect of variation of circuit parameters such as signal frequency, source impedance, load impedance, etc. on the values of the reactive components used in the matching network. As an example, with pi network discussed above, have a look at the effect of values of reactive components. due to change in source and load impedance. Which values undergo change under variation in source or load impedance? Can you tell? Also, as an additional example, consider a T network. Have a look at the effect on values of reactive components due to the change in source and load impedance. Now, consider a transmission line of length L having generator with impedance Zg at one end and the load impedance ZL at the other end as shown. Let Z0 be the characteristic impedance of the transmission line. In the case of transmission line as shown, for no reflection and full transmission, we know that ZL must be equal to Z0. This condition must be satisfied. If Z0 is real and ZL is complex, then definitely Z0 may not match with ZL, or rather Z0 will not match with ZL. In such a case, as we have seen, we can use L type of network or different types of networks for matching the two impedances. As soon as you insert such a network in between the receiving end and the load, there is a loss of power which is called as insertion loss. Let us try to get the information about such insertion loss. Note that mismatch of any type between the load and the transmission line impedance Z0 will give rise to return loss, mismatch loss, etc. So, it is one of the important aspects of study in the transmission line to account for such losses. So, let us see about insertion loss. What is insertion loss? Insertion loss is the loss of signal power resulting from the insertion of a device in a transmission line. It is denoted by IL and is expressed in decibels. If the power transmitted to the load before insertion of the device is PT and the power received by the load after insertion is PR, then the insertion loss in dB, that is decibel, is given by IL is equal to 10 times log of PT upon PR to the base 10. The energy absorbed by the transmission line in the direction of the signal path is measured by insertion loss in dB per meter or dB per feet. Insertion loss of a cable varies with frequency. The higher the frequency, the greater is the loss. Advanced electronic instruments such as network analyzer have many attractive features of displaying the Smith chart, plot the measured data on it and showing the calculated impedance at the marked point in a several marker formats. Use of such instruments incorporating display of Smith charts and analyzing the data is highly useful for computations of insertion loss. It be remembered that transmission coefficients are commonly referred to as gains or attenuations, while reflection coefficients relate to return losses and VSWRs. Measurement of insertion loss is useful in troubleshooting a given network. High insertion loss can contribute to poor system performance and loss of coverage. The accurate and repeatable measurements of insertion loss can be made with the help of some advanced instruments, SiteMaster for example. Instead of using a matching filter network, can we not have some other simple electrical system? The answer is yes, we do have. Let us discuss about one of such systems. Consider the following system. Let lambda be the wavelength of the signal transmitted along the transmission line. To match the load ZL with Z0, the original length L of the given transmission line, also called as feed line in some other systems, is increased by inserting a piece of another transmission line of length lambda by 4 with characteristic impedance Z0 between the output terminals of the receiving end of the original transmission line and the load impedance ZL. This technique involving the use of transmission line of length lambda by 4 is known as quarter wave transformer, meaning quarter wave impedance transformer, or simply QWT. With this, the new system becomes as shown. With such insertion of a small segment of transmission line of length lambda by 4, it can be shown that Zin is equal to Z0 dash square upon ZL, or Z0 dash is the square root of the product Zin into ZL. For a given ZL, to achieve the matching condition Zin is equal to Z0, we can calculate Z0 dash and select the small segment of transmission line made up of appropriate material of the line accordingly. The quarter wave transformer, that is QWT, is many a times referred in the literature as a lambda by 4 transformer. The result Zin is equal to Z0 dash square upon ZL can be derived by finding the limiting value of Zin for a lossless transmission line as the electrical length beta L tends to pi by 2 as shown. Note that here beta L is pi by 2 and tan of beta L equal to pi by 2 tends to infinity. Let us see a simple numerical problem related with QWT. The problem reads as shown. A lossless transmission line in air with characteristic impedance 50 ohm is to be matched with a load impedance of 180 ohm at a frequency of 6 gigahertz using a QWT. Determine the smallest length L and the characteristic impedance Z0 dash of the QWT. Here, since the transmission line is in air and lossless, we have phase velocity equal to 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second with frequency f is equal to 6 gigahertz, that is 6 into 10 raised to 9 hertz. We obtain lambda as 50 centimeter. Hence, lambda by 4, which is the length of QWT, will be 12.5 centimeter. For perfect matching, we must have Zin is equal to Z0 equal to 50 ohm. Hence, the desired characteristic impedance Z0 dash of the QWT can be obtained as Z0 dash is equal to 30 ohm. Thus, for matching, we have to select a transmission line of length 12.5 centimeter with characteristic impedance 30 ohm. Any deviation from these values will give rise to a return loss, mismatch loss and insertion loss to some extent. Generally, for a lossless transmission line, the characteristic impedance Z0 of the line is real. While using QWT for impedance matching, the nature of the load, namely real or complex, becomes another issue. Have a look at the formula for characteristic impedance Z0 dash of the QWT, namely Z0 dash is equal to square root of Z0 into ZL. Accordingly, if the load impedance ZL is real, then obviously the characteristic impedance Z0 dash of the QWT will also be real and can be realized easily. However, if ZL is complex, then Z0 dash will also be complex, which will not match with the real Z0. In such a case, QWT cannot be used. To overcome this difficulty, another section of the transmission line with characteristic impedance Z0 of appropriate length, say L1 is equal to T lambda, is connected between the QWT and the load as shown. The length L1 is so selected that its input impedance Z1 is real. This real impedance Z1 is converted into real input impedance Zin with the help of QWT having real valued characteristic impedance Z0 dash. The wires having characteristic impedance Z0 dash are used in QWT so that the matching condition Zin equal to Z0 is satisfied. Let us see one example so as to have better understanding of this technique. The problem is as shown. In the diagram, we have to find the smallest length L1 of a transmission line of characteristic impedance 50 ohm to be connected between QWT and the load. And the second is the characteristic impedance Z0 dash of the QWT is to be found so that load impedance of 50 plus 65 ohm matches with the transmission line with characteristic impedance 50 ohm. We will use Smith chart to find the value of normalized impedance Z1 and the length L1. For this, follow the stepwise procedure as shown. Step number 1 will be to calculate and plot the normalized load impedance on the Smith chart. Let point P represent the normalized load impedance ZL. It comes out to be 0.4 plus 1.3J. Join points O and P. Extend the line OP towards P to meet the distance scale marked with towards the generator at point T. Note the reading K lambda at point T. From point T, move on the distance scale to reach the point P of the Smith chart in the direction towards the generator. The total radial distance traversed in this way from T to reach B gives the value of required length L1. Note that L1 and L2 are to be calculated by using the formulae as shown. In the problem under consideration, we have K is equal to 0.15, hence L1 is equal to 0.1 lambda. To determine the real normalized impedance Z1, draw a circle of radius OB with O as its center. Note the reading at point of intersection W dash of the circle with radius OB of the Smith chart. The reading at point W dash represents the value of real normalized impedance Z1. Use this value of real normalized impedance Z1 to obtain the required input impedance capital Z1 using the formula as shown. In the problem under consideration, we have Z1 is equal to 350 ohm. Thus, knowing the value of Z1 is equal to 350 ohm, we can obtain the required value of characteristic impedance Z0 dash of the quarter wave transformer using the relation derived earlier as shown, and the value comes out to be Z0 dash is equal to 132.287 ohm. We can verify the fact that value of Z1 is real by using the analytical formula for calculating the impedance of a transmission line at a distance d from the load as shown. As an exercise, try to calculate and verify the values of L1, Z1 and Z0 dash corresponding to the values of Z0 and ZL shown in the table. There are many applications of QWT. For example, many a times we need to provide DC power to active devices such as switching transistor or varactor diode connected to a transmission line. We know that ideally DC voltage source has zero impedance. Hence, DC voltage source, if connected directly, will result in a transmission line short circuited at its input. Hence, the DC source is connected to the transmission line via a QWT. Due to this, the short circuit is transformed into an open circuit and the signal transmitted on the line remains unaffected. The QWT has a property of providing input impedance Zin as a dual of the load impedance. Hence, it is used in inverters. Due to this property, QWT can also be used as a component in many types of filters. What do we understand by the term dual of the load impedance? The dual of an impedance is nothing but its reciprocal or algebraic inverse representing admittance. On similar line, we understand the term dual of a network as the network whose impedances are the duals of the original impedances. In the case of a black box network with multiple ports, the impedance looking into each port must be the dual of the impedance of the corresponding port of the dual network. Though simple and useful, QWT suffers from some drawbacks. For example, for a given load impedance ZL and the characteristic impedance Z0 of the feed line, if it is not possible to have a transmission line used as a QWT with desired characteristic impedance Z0 dash having adequate level of precision, then the QWT matching technique cannot be used for impedance matching. QWT can be used to match the load to the feed line only at one frequency. Any deviation from the original signal frequency causes changes in the load impedance ZL and characteristic impedance Z0 of the transmission line. The frequency dependence of ZL and Z0 in turn change the value of Z0 dash. Thus, for matching the line at some other frequency, we have to select another transmission line with new value of Z0 dash. This fact is described by saying that QWT has low bandwidth. Here, in the case of QWT, the phrase low bandwidth indicates the fact that only little variation from the original or central frequency is tolerable so as not to allow much change in the component values. How to increase the bandwidth? To increase the bandwidth, we may think of using many QWTs in series with the feed line. However, there are some disadvantages in this approach. As we know now, the major problem faced with QWT is its low bandwidth. A single circuit matches only at a single frequency. Obtaining a good match over an extended frequency range may require many elements. The more the number of components, the more is the propagation of error in the calculations, which can affect the reliability of the matching action. Finding the precise values and their realization may become a challenging job. From the discussion made so far, we know that in the technique of impedance matching using QWT, characteristic impedance plays an important role. Let us note some points related with characteristic impedance. The characteristic impedance is also called as surge impedance or natural impedance. It depends upon the geometry and materials of the transmission line. For a uniform line, characteristic impedance is independent of its length. A lossless transmission line is defined as a transmission line that has no line resistance and no dielectric loss. The characteristic impedance of a lossless transmission line is purely real. Underground cables normally have a very low characteristic impedance. Characteristic impedance of a coaxial cable mainly depends upon the size, spacing between the conductors and dielectric used between the conductors. At ordinary frequencies, characteristic impedance of a coaxial cable depends on an exponential manner upon the logarithm of the ratio of diameters of the outer and inner conductors. In electric power transmission, the characteristic impedance of a transmission line is expressed in terms of the surge impedance loading, that is SIL, or natural loading. It is the power loading at which reactive power is neither produced nor absorbed. Improper loading of the transmission line results in absorption or supply of reactive power. When the line is loaded below its SIL, it supplies reactive power to the system, which in turn tends to raise the system voltages. When the line is loaded above SIL, the line absorbs reactive power, tending to depress the voltage. This effect is known as the Ferranti effect. This effect describes the voltage gain towards the remote end of a very lightly loaded or open-ended transmission line. Friends, so many points can be discussed regarding quantities like characteristic impedance and others related with transmission line of different types. However, we will stop here. As a summary, we can say or we can remember that different types of networks comprising of reactive components can be used to match the load impedance to a transmission line. Inclusion of such networks can cause a loss called as insertion loss. QWT, that is quarter wave transformer, can be used to match the load to the transmission line. The length of QWT is lambda by 4. QWT has a property of providing dual of the load impedance at its other end. DC power can be submitted or can be applied at the input terminus of the transmission line through the use of QWT. QWT has a low bandwidth, that is one of the drawback of QWT. QWT can be solved through the use of Smith chart as far as determination of the length is concerned. Thank you.